один ще є.
Я думаю, что уже надо заниматься. Даша, занимайся.
Панове,
Good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen. We're happy to welcome you here during the briefing of the Minister of Energy and Coal Industry. Thanks for coming. And today we're going to discuss the topic of the half-a-year work of the Ukraine's energy policy and European Integration Department. I would like to introduce to you Myhaylo and Bno-Ayriyan, who will be the monitor of this meeting. After his presentation, we are going to have the Q&A session. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Myhaylo Bno-Ayriyan. I'm head of European Integration Department of the Ministry of Energy and Coal Industry Ukraine. We are dealing mostly with all the international links and ties. In addition to the Euro integration, we also deal with the issues pertaining to the international activities of the ministry, bilateral relationship with different countries, multinational, plurilateral. So I'd like to offer your attention in our presentation. I'd like to emphasize not the activity of our department, but the presentation of the activities of the ministry over the first 6 months of this year. This is our initiative, and we would like every half a year to present and to report to you what we are doing or what we have been doing and what kind of measures or steps we managed to have to take, what was successful, what was not so successful, where we are going to, what we're going to achieve, etc., etc. Of course, the Minister of Energy and Coal Industry is not the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And the foreign relations, the foreign vector, naturally, is not our first priority task, because first of all, we have some sectoral cooperation in mind and the corresponding sectors and branches. But today, the international spectrum of our activity becomes very important, because first of all, we undertook some commitments before the international community, first of all, before the EU, and number two, implementation of European legislation and the harmonization of this of Ukrainian legislation with the European one. And today, our economy is very much integrated, including the power industry or the power energy sector. It's very important to see what we are doing in the foreign sphere of our activities. First of all, I would like to introduce to you our team working in our department. You can see them on the roster. Those are rather very young girls and boys, let's say, and they recommend foreign languages. He's the Japanese. Elena Ivanova is responsible for bilateral relations with the EU countries. Ines Sherban is responsible for the relations between the minister and the EU institution level, and also for the cooperation with the energy community. Anastasia Ivleva is responsible for the energy community and our commitments undertook by us. And it's their implementation, and we have Evgeny Litvinenko, who is responsible for the relations with the CIS countries and the Central Asia and the United States. There's a very interesting mix. Oksana Poplavsky is responsible for our relationship with Moldova. We have some problematic issues there. She's responsible for the cooperation with international organizations like the Energy Charter. And also we have the volunteers, and despite the fact that this were fashionable today, but we are involved in the NECA, who helped us a lot. I mean, Irina Skiba, who helped us a lot for preparation of this presentation. She studies at the Diplomatic Academy of Ukraine, and we do appreciate the efforts of this academy, who actually allowed us to take this person for outsourcing and to strengthen our department. So now I would like to come down to the presentation to discuss many issues we have actually, because there are a lot of things which are not on the surface, so to say. They require some kind of additional elaboration and understanding. So the first slide. This is the energy diplomacy in figures. This is our the results of the operation of our minister for the first half a year, because today the figures are different. We actually had 212 international events. Is it too much or not enough? Well, we had 25 working days, so 2 events per day. So intensity is huge, and the load on this small group of people is huge, But today, the energy sector is actually invokes a lot of interest among our foreign partners. Those are the key figures what we achieved during those half a year period of time. During these 6 months, we increased the reverse of gas tenfold. We actually attracted over 800 million of euros of external assistance from our partners. We reduced the gas supplies from Russian Federation by 10 billion cubic meters, and to save a lot of money by doing this. And also the cost of the reverse supplies, and also a very interesting figure. We analyzed that over this half a year we had the contacts with more than 40 countries of the world, representatives of those countries. Approximately 25% of the world countries were already covered by this. What are our key achievements? There are some groups. First of all, depoliticization of the gas issue. I believe this is one of the most important direction and our achievement over those 6 months. Due to the diversification of our gas supply, we actually managed to diminish for the second quarter of 2015. We actually managed to achieve this solving of gas dispute, transformed from the format Ukraine-Russia to format Ukraine-Russia-EU. By doing this, we increased, with the help of our friends, European partners, we increased the transparency of the gas sphere in the triangle Ukraine-Russia-EU. So what's the situation today? If some kind of natural gas is not supplied by our partners to us, this is not actual subject of our relationship. This is the subject of relationship of Ukraine-Russia-EU. First of all, that became possible owing to the support on the part of EU, European Commission, and in particular the President Marcin Shevchevich, who had birthday recently, and we actually, while congratulating him, happy birthday, wishing him, we emphasize that owing to his efforts, we managed to bring our relationship in the format of the triangle relationship, Ukraine-Russia-EU, which ensured more stability in our relationship. This allowed us to decrease this politicization of this issue, and allowed us to bring our relationship in more or less constructive mode. Other achievements. Diversification of energy supplies. I already mentioned that we increased the amount of the reverse gas supplies. So this is the comparison between the first half year of 2014 and the same period of time for 2015. You see the drastic increase of the reverse gas supply. This is one of the key success factors in this direction, because this enabled us to be more flexible in our relationship with our traditional partners. We signed the treaty of the interconnector with the FGSZ Hungarian company. This is the full-fledged connector, full-fledged treaty. This is the first treaty signed with our neighbors, and we believe that this is just the beginning of this process. And actually, we ensured the supply of the nuclear fuel from the American company Westinghouse, and we have a stable supply, and this is another step along the lines of diversification of energy supplies. Next slide, key achievements. We can see, we believe that one of the key achievements is the implementation of EU legislation.
It may sound a bit strange, but we've managed to approve the plan to implement certain EU legislative acts in the energy sector. At the time when I and my colleagues came to work with the ministry, we tried to revise works previously done there, and we saw that in spite of lots of plans, old plans, many things have never been adopted, and we did it. This legislation was incorporated, and everyone understands what he or she is responsible for. That is, we have an institutional framework in place already. Second achievement, the law on natural gas market. Despite not entirely in the area of external operations, it was finished in close cooperation with the European Energy Community, and I myself took part in it. And actually it was the first document of its kind that we managed to adopt. And despite bylaws that I'm going to expound on later on, this marked a key milestone. Next, we managed to approve the plan of natural gas sector reform. The Cabinet of Ministers, the plan details specific steps on natural gas sector reform, and it is based on a new legislation on natural gas market, which will come in force in the end of this year. So it was finally approved by the cabinet, by a relevant cabinet resolution, and made mandatory for implementation as one of preconditions for IMF loan facility within the scope of DPL2 program. And the final achievement I'd like to expound is the draft legislation on electricity market, which is fundamental legislation. I myself was the chairman of the work group to negotiate it with the European Energy Community. We presented it to international community for review, and we hope to have it in the Parliament, motion to the Parliament this September, October. And this piece of legislation is already in the process of being agreed with other line ministries. And a bit more figures, just some statistical data about bilateral contacts. They're presented for you just to have a better understanding what have we meant under 212 events. We had 8 meetings with the ministers from other countries, 27 meetings with ambassadors, 27 meetings with foreign companies representatives, 15 times we met with international financial organizations, 18 meetings were held with international organizations, and 117 working minutes on a variety of international matters, which clearly says of the great intensity of our work. And some experts would ask, what actually have you been doing in the ministry? And this is some of the examples of the real situation in what's happening in the ministry. The next slide shows who we met with, to show you better the geography of our contacts, ranging from our partners in the United States of America, like Amos Holstein, Special Envoy. We had a meeting with Ernest Moniz, Minister of Energy of the USA, and it was really something because we haven't had such contacts for 3 or 4 years. We had talks with representatives of Denmark, of Georgia, the Netherlands, Czech Republic, Romania, European Commissioner on Energy. Unfortunately, not all of the ministries we wanted to meet managed to do it, and we hope that we will continue with this meeting the second half of the year. But this is just for you to see and for us to show the key accents that we put in our work in terms of providing maximum bilateral expansion, as many initiatives really appear as a result of such bilateral contacts at the level of the minister or vice prime ministers. Speaking of our overseas visits, some key visits included 7-week participation in Houston. Within the scope of this visit, we managed to have a host of very important meetings, including that with the Minister of Energy of the United States, the Hague III International Conference, when we become signatories to the International Energy Charter, and another yet event that was not widely covered in the media, but it was nevertheless very much important. It was the working tour to Turkmenistan, with participation in the bilateral Ukrainian-Turkmen Intergovernmental Commission, during which we spoke of our keen interest in restoring Turkmen gas supplies into Ukraine in spite of specific positions of some transit countries. At least we made this political statement of our interest, and we also made similar political statements during the Ukrainian-Kazakh bilateral commission, and more recently during our meeting with our Belarusian colleagues. We don't understand there is much policy in the matter, but we nevertheless are interested in fostering and renewing our collaboration with Central Asian states, particularly as regards natural gas and other hydrocarbons. I think that rather soon we are going to see more detailed expert consultations. It remains to be seen what will be the end of this, but at least we made this information point and conveyed our message. We've also been participating in energy sector related networking, and here you can see a range of events in which our minister, his deputies participated, starting from G7 seminar on energy safety and challenges to the energy sector of Ukraine in Berlin, to international conference to support reforms in Ukraine. It was very interesting because we saw Mr. Shevchovich and US energy minister and many other dignitaries attending. And this really speaks about the need to have more in-depth and wider communication worldwide to attract investments, to boost our natural gas imports and own production. Next we go to our cooperation with IFIs. International financial organizations have been rather active in assisting us, and you've seen already from previous slides how many contacts fostered. We have a credit facility from the World Bank for $378 million. We have an EITI grant of a quarter, a third of $1 billion, $300,000 also from the World Bank. The World Bank also supports the development of the secondary legislation to support the natural gas market legislation. We also signed loan facility agreement to modernize the Grigoi-Pomary-Uzhgorod pipeline for the total of 300 million euro with EBRD, and we have a 200 million loan facility with KfW to rebuild and modernize infrastructure in the regions of the eastern part of Ukraine. We are also actively discussing matters of further natural gas procurement for its pumping in underground storage facilities, quite a complicated matter. that we nevertheless try to decide by joint efforts with the European Commission, and with strong hopes that IFIs will contribute to this. As regards international support of reforms in the Ukrainian energy sector, we've adopted a number of documents to support the reform process. There are some international documents that have some positive information about the existing pace of reforms. We have a G7 declaration signed by energy ministers of these countries. And the final communique and joint statements based on the results of the meeting have shown a strong support of the positive dynamics in Ukrainian power sector reform. We have a joint statement from the 17th Ukraine-EU summit, several declaration of the Riga summit of Eastern Partnership on major energy infrastructure projects, and the Ukrainian and American Work Group on Energy Security. Just to show you some of the results of our first 6 months of this year, to show the progress. This event took place in Washington. Our minister was there, and the co-chair of the Ukrainian American Work Group contributed to a detailed analysis of what has been done in the energy sector. And there is a press release that praises specifically Ukraine's efforts to initiate reforms in the energy sector in Ukraine.
As you can see, what's going on inside the country, it has its reflection outside the country in our foreign partners, which testifies to the fact of the deep going integration of the energy into the regional and the world economy and the world and the regional energy markets. Next slide, cooperation with energy community, this new page in our relations. I must say this is our very active partner in addition to other institutions. A lot has been done over this period of time. We actually drawn up and adopted the natural gas market law. Let's say, again, if we're talking about the natural gas market, they are also help us together with the World Bank. We finished the work on the, let's say, in the electricity market. Also, we completed the work on development or the drawing up of the road map of the regulatory acts which have to be adopted and approved. When the law is adopted on the electricity market is adopted, it has to work somehow. So also we are talking about 16 bylaws, and we made an agreement with the MFA of Great Britain. They are going to issue grant, but let's say the 60 euros, which are going to institutional help us, so to say. We finalized the text of the draft law on the national regulator of the energy sector together with them, and we have submitted that to Verkhovna Rada, as you know, and we managed at some of the meetings of the standing group of high summit level to actually to somehow to apply the requirements on emissions into the atmosphere. EU Directive 2010/75. It was modified, and we somehow regulated some of the issues which were painful to our economy and our sector. Cooperation with the EU, we call that from classic to new the situation to new initiatives. We try to visualize our relationship with the fresh eyes, so to say. We actually intensified the process of implementation of the third energy package, which I mentioned before. We signed the joint report. When we did that, and we understood that the joint report on the cooperation in the energy sector is being signed every year, and actually we are looking how we are implementing a memorandum between EU and Ukraine in the energy sector, which was signed 10 years ago. It's understood that everything has changed. As they say, the environment now looks differently, We are talking about the general environment. So we propose to EU to actually to sign a new memorandum of understanding in the energy sector. The minister signed a letter to Maros Church and Mr. Cañete, European Commissioner, and we got or obtained the preliminary consent, and we are expecting in the near future that the information they are prepared to start this process, and we hope that we are going to sign this document rather soon. In Brussels, we presented in Ukraine the Energy Bridge project aimed to develop an interstate electricity network infrastructure. Very interesting project aimed at the export of our electric power to Europe. Unfortunately, today we heard the news, that one of the active promoters of this project from Poland, Jan Kuciak, died. But we do hope that the project is going to live further on and be further developed. And we actually provided a very serious basis for this project to be successfully implemented further on. The cabinet ministers passed a resolution on pilot project, and there was a presentation in Brussels. So this is a new project which we propose to EU. Cooperation with Japan and access to new eastern horizons. This is another very interesting direction, our cooperation with the foreign partners. This is a very complicated area which requires non-standard approaches and some legal issues to be resolved. I'm going to talk more in more detail later on. However, the Japanese direction is one of the key ones in our ministry. We are talking about the foreign vector. Together with NEDER, the development of demonstration project for replacement of the steam turbine in Tripitska TPP. We are talking about that they are prepared to supply us free of charge the turbine for this demonstration project. Its cost is about $30 million, but the thing is, we are thinking how to document this properly from a legal point of view, because the legislations are restricted for implementation of this project. But we do hope that we'll find a way out of this situation, and we are going to implement this project, which is again is very interesting and open us new vistas for the cooperation with Japan. The technical audits of Tripitska TPP and Bushtinska TPP were made, and respective reports were presented. We proposed to Tripitska TPP to change the turbine. Also, we are going to master plan for the development of the energy of Ukraine together with IEE Japan Corporation. This strategy, they would like to calculate a model how our energy sector is going to be developed over the next 15-20 years. We have a very active communication with them on this issue, and this plan is going to be presented during the second Ukraine-Japanese seminar workshop, but we had this first one this year on the energy security. And during the second seminar, which will be held on 31st of August this year, we hope that they will present this model and submit to the minister for their consideration. Next slide. This is kind of the, let's say, a spoonful of tar in the barrel of honey, so that you understand that not everything is that ideal in our ministry, not everything we managed to do in due time. So we're talking about the signing an additional contract on gas supply within so-called summer package, and you know that we want to do that with our European partners. In the ideal case, we would like to have, for the whole heating season, we would like to have the document which would describe format of our relationship with the Russian Federation and EU in this sphere. Unfortunately, so far the negotiations have not reached any success. I mean, those negotiations, however, we do hope that anyway the voice of wisdom will prevail, and we'll reach some compromise along those lines. And I would like to tell you that August 27th, 28th, when we are going to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the European Energy Community. We are going to have negotiations between our Minister, Mr. Shevchovich, on that issue, so that in the first half of September to have the tripartite negotiations and reach some kind of compromise with the Russians, and maybe we'll reach the agreement on supply of natural gas. The launch of the big rivers from European countries in Slovakia, this is rather problematic issue, not only from point of view of Slovakia, so to say, but generally speaking about our neighboring countries. We hope that in any case we will find the common grounds, and we have been calling upon repeatedly to conduct a more active bilateral, multilateral meetings. For example, our ministry 4 months ago in April proposed to the ministers of energy of Visegrad 4 to conduct, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in the end of May, the meeting of ministers, of energy ministers, the Visegrad 4 plus Ukraine, to discuss the issues of bilateral, multilateral cooperation, because there are a lot of issues which require this kind of negotiation. Unfortunately, that meeting did not take place, but anyway, we hope. And we invite, and we are going to invite again our partners to be more active in our communications and try to find the common grounds. And we actually managed to resolve the problem of energy resource, or actually another problem is to resolve the problem of energy resource purchase for the heating season. So far we did not reach the result regarding the funding for procurement of the natural gas for our TPPs. We were negotiations in place, multilateral, plurilateral, so to say, format, EU, Ukraine, EBRD, etc. The negotiations still go on, and some of the preliminary sources which can actually be used for funding of this effort have been outlined. But anyway, we would like everybody, our European American partners, to hear us. We need the help or assistance from a point of view of funding for pumping of the natural gas from the ground storage facilities before the heating season. Actually, those are the major challenges we face. But this is a kind of two-way street. Without the support on part of our partners, we cannot achieve anything. The similar situation we have with the coal, but on the coal we actually passed the decision on allocation of the 2 billion hryvnia for procurement of coal for the heating season. As compared to the natural gas, those are not the big money we are talking about, but the issue is we are in the searching for sources of the coal supply. This is one of the key directions of the work of our ministry, among other things. The main things of our task by the end of 2015. You can see the continued contract on gas supply from Russian Federation. Within the so-called winter package. Most important to have the understandable cooperation with Russian Federation with the normal terms and conditions. As I mentioned before, we are going to have the negotiations in September, and we hope that they will be constructive. Developing the adoption of secondary legislation, the law of Ukraine natural gas market. By October the 1st, we have to adopt everything, and everybody is very much proactive, working, doing maximum. And soon we are going to present the package. The sign of agreement of interconnectors between EU operators and Ukraine, I mentioned that, to purchase a necessary amount of energy resources for future heating season. It is understandable to draft a new memorandum of understanding in the energy sector between Ukraine and the EU. I mentioned that as well. And also the emergency situation in the energy sector. That's what we are working today on a new contingency plan for the energy sector of Ukraine. We are working with our American partners. They've been working for months now. Today, in the cabinet ministers, Prime Minister will hold a new meeting on this issue. We think and this will require some additional time in order to finalize the draft of this plan. But Ukraine has to achieve the clear algorithm how to respond to the emergency situations. We have minimum reserve of energy resources which are required for the energy system to operate in a stable manner in any mode, and also we will have the possibility of scenarios and the reserve of the energy resources which are required under different scenarios. Number one, number two, in warm weather, cold weather, etc. To implement a rapid response mechanism regarding problematic issues that foreign investors may face in the energy sector of Ukraine. This is our initiative. We are going to launch this in September. We would like our international organization, business association, to sign the memorandum about mechanism of this kind of regulation, so to identify the people who will be the responsible in different ministers in their part, who will be responsible for their contact with the same ministry. So God forbid if we have some problems with the foreign partners, so could report to the respective people and achieve a necessary response to that situation. What we have seen on example of the work of our ministry, the wish to create any problems or technical barriers to anybody. There are none of these among the ministerial employees, but speaking about the details, there were a lot of problems. For example, some documents have been lost, or the kind of not all documents are initialized in proper due time. So I'd like to resolve those issues. We would like to conduct a number of bilateral intergovernmental joint commissions. On 15th of September, if everything's okay, we are going to have the Ukrainian-Iranian Intergovernmental Commission in the Minister of Agriculture from Iran is a chairman of this commission. I believe this will be the first meeting for the last decade for you to understand the importance of this event. We also planned the first meeting for the Ukrainian and Norwegian Commission, not Energy Commission. We are talking about the Intergovernmental Joint Commission on Development of Trade. And also we planned a number of meetings, working groups, energy issues with the Czech Republic. And for this half a year, this exhausted the plan, but also, also Ukrainian-Swedish working group is going to work. So for half a year, if you are talking about the fall, September, October, November, everything has been specified. We are going to have a lot of different steps. We are going to hold a second Ukraine-Japan Energy Seminar, and also would like to invite the energy community session where they're going to adopt the corresponding respective decisions. We also planned the energy forum, annual energy forum, which is going to be held on the 22nd through 24th September of this year. We also have the plan to establish a diplomatic club under the ministry. I'm not going to talk about that in detail, but this we are going to have very interesting work with the ambassadors, different embassies. We understand how important it is to have proper communication with everybody. Interesting fact, we became public. We use Twitter and Facebook. We write to a maximum extent what we are doing. We are only in the beginning of the road. We would not like to conceal anything from anybody, and we actually receive very good feedback from you. And the last thing, you can see that you can do, physically. This is a team working in our ministry. Some of them are not present here because they're on vacations today. We also have Department of Strategic Planning and Investment Cooperation. We have here our representative Gleb Srbunenko. They also have something to do to international affairs because they have international financial institutions and financial cooperation. But everything we do in a friendly manner. We discuss everything, and shoulder to shoulder, we try to achieve our common goal. This actually exhausts my presentation. What we've done, and we are prepared to take your questions, if any, regarding the international activities of our ministry. Thank you. Are there any questions?
TASS agency, Igor Yashkin. How would you estimate prospects of suspending or terminating the EBRD and Euratom's funding of the big ambitious projects on increasing security of Ukrainian nuclear power plants in context of recent activities of environmental organizations in Europe? They issued a statement to the EBRD signed by 22 Europarliamentarians. Until Ukraine approves all the procedures on NPP transborder environmental impact assessment. Also, before you mentioned it, the minister wants a deputy for the nuclear power sector. Do you have any candidatures to be approved by the cabinet? Speaking of the first question, I'm at least partially in the know of it. This makes an additional impetus and stimulus for us to do our homework, to see what commitments and obligations are still pending for us. And we are at the moment stepping up our efforts, also within the scope of our cooperation with the EBRD, to explain them. Many things have been already been done. We are not turning blind eye to our commitments. To explain that there are no unregulated matters in the nuclear power sector in this country. And surely there is a need to harmonize our standards with European standards for these matters, but we think that at least partly this is the question that is too much dramatized. Because we are in the process of working it, we have this impetus, we are carefully estimating where we should rush to complete our homework again. But as regards the activities of the ministry, the activities, the operation of our NPPs, it is thoroughly regulated from Myhaylo to other organizations, and they've been every step has been properly informed. So we, rather than dramatizing, we need to do more technical job, and we have a specific department chaired by Seryoja Yermak, and they may have more data on that. As regards the second question regarding prospect deputy minister, I did myself facilitate this visit to Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, given some experience in these matters, and there was that word from the minister about would-be deputy minister. Surely this is not an easy matter at the moment, and I do not know all the details, but at the moment I can tell you that there is no such deputy minister. There is an idea, and if there will be any further reform in the ministry of its structure, organization, etc., surely it will go. It goes without saying. There will be a separate unit, a separate department to deal with nuclear power sector, because there should be separate people dealing with it. That's a matter of fact. Coming briefly back to the first question, and my previous description of things we still have to do, I can also mention it that we are still a bit short on resources to make a full list of our international commitments. There are some directives that our ministry is not responsible for. On the other hand, we have a multipartite task force, and we are updating its membership from our side to enhance our work with civil society organizations, to come up with a better, more efficient mechanism of monitoring, to see what needs to be done firsthand, what needs to be done generally, because efficiently and effectively we don't have this analysis, this analytical data so far.
Of Belgium to Ukraine. Thanks for the initiative and congratulations on you and on your team for what you have already achieved in 6 months' time. It's only 6 months, it's a lot, but it's also only the beginning of what should be a beautiful story. I have a number of smaller questions which I hope will be of interest to the media as well. But the rapid response mechanism regarding problematic issues that foreign investors may face in the energy sector, could you elaborate a little bit more on that? Second question, what place does energy efficiency has in the international strategy of the Ministry of Energy, and how does it transpire through your work? And a third similar question, where what place do you give to climate change? Does the Ministry of Energy has competences, responsibilities with regard to the international negotiations on climate change?
Take any phones. E-phones. Я відповім на українською мовою по першому питанню.
Speaking of the mechanism, it is just a document on paper. We had a meeting with Andrei Gundar, ECC head, and we also met with Hanna Derevyanka. We want to set up a bigger meeting with investors to hear more as to what happens inside, to see real situation. And we want to single couple of officers in the ministry who will be personally responsible for that, to monitor that whenever an investor has problem, then this officer will be responsible for immediately coming to the minister or related to make an official to notify the information and we will be able to promise that this will be a prompt reaction, not the one that takes 1 or 2 months. And this is what we need, this is what we still lack, prompt, efficient communication. Speaking of the second question of energy efficiency, this is the one we hear quite often from our international partners who are having come here, ask us about energy efficiency measures and steps to be taken by Ukraine in a specific direction, or ask about strategy and steps to be taken. There is an energy efficiency head by Mr. Savchuk, and it is under the aegis of the Ministry for Regional Development and of another ministries. Unfortunately, we have no authority or competence immediately in this area. Surely we have some tangential matters. Say, whenever we speak about transportation and reverse flow, it is not just about replacing tubes, it's about installing more efficient equipment there. But again, I'm not in the position to judge professionally about how things are done in the area of energy efficiency. And really, our partners are logically relating this question to the area of energy sector, but still. And third question, if I'm not mistaken, I still remember it, concerns climate change and international summit on that. we are investigating this issue given the global nature of the question. When we approved and agreed with the EU our emission schedule, CO2 emission schedule, I'd say it was also related to climate change matters and the need to fight against pollution and the need to tackle environmental challenges. And this is of sure interest for us, and we are going to look deeper into that. Given the upcoming event, it will be of great importance, and it will be decided at the state level who will take part in that from Ukrainian side. Thank you. Any questions? I would also like to add here, based on the results of the presentation, we do not want it to be in a way when we say something and have some sporadic questions. We would really like to make a roundtable discussion or a small conference in the scope, for example, of the bigger international fuel forum to be held this September. Or maybe it will be a workshop or still a roundtable discussion involving our minister, and we would cordially invite you and the media to speak more about energy diplomacy in the context of what's going on in Ukraine. What I tried to relate to you, it was a brief account of what has been done so far, but it's a little of where we need to be at some point in future and as regards our energy-related projects. Be it the projects already under development or those plans somewhere in Europe. As it says and has said little about our relationship with Asian or Central Asian partners. With a view of that, we'd like to have this roundtable discussion to have a more
Thank you, Myhaylo. Thank you for your attention. The presentation which you saw will be on our website of Ministry of Energy and Coal Industry in English and Ukrainian. You'll have a chance just to acquaint yourself with that and get the materials. Thank you very much again. Thanks to everybody for coming. See you again.